Major Case True Crime Investigations. In each episode, we delve into the details of significant criminal cases from around the world. Through meticulous research and narrative storytelling, we aim to uncover the truth behind these major cases.
In a quiet residential complex in Baoding, Hebei, a family of 3 vanished, without notice, without a trace. For 8 months, no one asked where they'd gone. Not until a pungent, rotting odor began to drift through the building. Neighbors finally noticed. But by then, it was far too late. At night, residents said, strange things happened. The apartment, where 3 bodies lay, would glow with flickering light. Faint footsteps echoed inside. But the moment someone knocked on the door, the lights died. The footsteps stopped. And the apartment went still, unnaturally still. Yet each time they walked away, the light came back. And so did the sounds. October 23, 2006. Di Chao, a worker at the Liuyuan steel plant, failed to show up for his shift. His friend and co-worker, nicknamed Xiao Long, grew concerned. He knocked on Di Chao's door. No answer. Inside, nothing stirred. Di Chao's parents, Di Jingshen and Li Juanzu, were also nowhere to be found. Days passed. Then weeks. The family remained missing. For months later, late at night, Xiao Long happened to walk past the apartment. He glanced up and froze. The lights were on. He raced upstairs, heart pounding. From behind the door, he could hear soft, shuffling steps. But as soon as he knocked, everything stopped. The lights went out. The footsteps vanished. Confused, Xiao Long turned back. But from the street below, he saw it again. The apartment light had returned. Driven by fear, or maybe curiosity, he and a friend tried again. They knocked. No response. Then, desperate, Xiao Long began flipping the circuit breaker. On. Off. On. Off. Still, the apartment remained silent. They weren't alone. Other residents in the building had noticed it too. The same lights. The same shadows flitting past the balcony. The same footsteps echoing through the silence. Some tried to investigate. They climbed the stairs, knocked on the door, and every time, lights out. No movement. Just a heavy, chilling stillness. So unsettling? Some moved away. 8 months after Di Chao was last seen, a call came into the local police station. Residents reported a foul stench, a thick, unbearable odor leaking through the building. The source, Di Chao's apartment. They hadn't seen the family in nearly a year. Police scaled the wall, entering through the balcony. When they smashed the window, the smell hit them like a wave. What they found inside was worse than anyone imagined. 3 bodies, decomposed and crawling with maggots. One in the master bedroom. Another in the guest room. The third on the kitchen floor. Blood had dried into dark stains across the floor. Drawers were left half open, as if someone had rifled through them. Even seasoned officers with decades of investigative experience staggered at the sight. The victims were confirmed. Di Chao. His father, Di Jingshen. His mother, Li Juanzu. All dead. All forgotten until the smell of their decay could no longer be ignored. What happened in that apartment? Who silenced this family, and why? And how does a triple homicide go unnoticed for nearly a year? In the middle of a neighborhood? We'll find out. Di Chao failed to show up for work on October 23rd. Inside his apartment, the wall calendar remained frozen on that very date. A quiet detail, but a telling one. Forensic analysis confirmed it. That was the day all three members of the Di family were killed. By the time police entered the apartment, 8 months had passed. 8 months of silence, darkness, and slow decay. If not for the smell, thick, unmistakable, and impossible to ignore, this massacre might never have been discovered at all. The Dis were known and respected. Good people, neighbors said. Quiet, kind, always polite. No enemies. No known disputes. No reason anyone could imagine for such a violent end. And yet, someone had slaughtered them. Without warning. Without mercy. But what the police found inside the apartment didn't bring clarity. It raised more questions. The scene wasn't just tragic, it was unsettling in ways that didn't add up. A triple homicide. No witnesses. No screams. No forced entry. And no one, not a single person, noticed they were gone. There was something else. Something about the room, the arrangement, the silence it held. This wasn't just murder. It was something more complicated. And far more disturbing. The autopsy revealed chilling details. Di Jingshen had been strangled with an electrical cord. Li Juanzhu died from massive blood loss caused by repeated stab wounds. As for their son, Di Chao, he was first stabbed, then strangled. 3 victims. 3 different methods. 3 separate crime scenes within the same home. This wasn't just murder. It was deliberate. It was controlled. And it didn't feel like the work of a single person. To kill all 3 in different rooms with no signs of resistance. The police began to suspect there were multiple attackers. Possibly 2. Maybe more. But there was something else. Something no one could explain. Why, over the course of 8 months, did the apartment lights keep turning on in the middle of the night? Electrical fault? Or something else? Despite the time that had passed, detectives were meticulous. In quiet, undisturbed corners of the home, they found 3 distinct sets of footprints. The first, marked with blood, was likely left during the killings. The second was pressed into a thin layer of dust, suggesting a later entry. The third, smeared with water, appeared to have been made during rain or snow. Someone had returned. Not once, but multiple times. There were no signs of forced entry. No broken locks. No damaged windows. And none of the victims had defensive wounds. Which led to one unsettling possibility. The killer was someone they knew. Someone they trusted enough to let inside. The nature of the violence, especially Di Chao's death, suggested rage. Personal. Vengeful. But the family had a spotless reputation. Respected. Well-liked. No known enemies. So what was the motive? Di Chao was known for his mild temperament. Quiet. Dutiful. Devoted to his parents. Hard-working. Obedient. Not the kind of man who provoked violence. But there was a clue. A computer was missing from the crime scene. A desktop tower. Gone. Security protocol at the steel factory required all large items to be logged before exiting. No such log existed, which meant someone removed it illegally. And they did it without drawing attention. The fact that the perpetrator returned multiple times after the murders. That they entered and exited undetected. led police to consider a troubling theory. The killer lived nearby, possibly in the same building. Soon, a name surfaced: Du Jinzhu, a middle-aged locksmith. Lived one floor below the D family. He had a prior criminal record, and he knew how to open any door. When brought in for questioning, Du was visibly nervous. Too nervous. The more he tried to deny involvement, the more it seemed like he had something to hide. Even neighbors believed it. Whispers echoed through the residential complex.
It had to be Du Jinzhu.
But Du didn't confess. And then, police found something. Stacks of cash hidden in his home. When questioned, Du insisted the money had nothing to do with the murders. He claimed he'd stolen it from his brother-in-law, after secretly making a copy of his keys. Surprisingly, the brother-in-law confirmed the story. Theft? Yes. Murder? He couldn't say. The police weren't convinced. Neither were the neighbors. Du remained a prime suspect. Nervous, evasive, and just close enough to make everyone uneasy. As officers combed through the D residence, one detail stood out. There was no cash. None. And the couple's bank books were missing too. It didn't make sense. Neighbors recalled that Mr. and Mrs. D had both worked at the steel mill during its most profitable years. They were known to have saved at least 100,000 yuan. Where had it all gone? The assumption was grim. Whoever killed them didn't leave empty-handed. Police traced the missing funds to a local bank. Staff confirmed that on the afternoon of October 23rd, the day the victims were believed to have died, a man claiming to be Di Chao withdrew the entire balance. He presented the IDs of both parents. Surveillance footage was inconclusive, but the withdrawal slip held something more telling: a partial fingerprint, faintly smudged with blood. Forensics ran the print against their main suspect at the time, Du Jinzhu. The results? No match. Just like that, the case collapsed back to square one. With no clear motive, no verified suspect, and no murder weapon recovered, the case grew colder by the day. But investigators kept circling back to one thing: the lights. Why did they keep turning on at night? It wasn't just once. It happened repeatedly, always after midnight. Residents began to help, offering dates and times when they'd seen the shadows flickering through the D family windows. Eventually, the pattern led to a man named Zhao Longgang. He lived in the complex. He gambled often, and each time he lost, the ghostly lights would reappear. When police brought Zhao in for questioning, he acted much like Du Jinzhu had before him. Tense. Jittery. During fingerprint collection, he struggled violently. 2 officers could barely restrain him. But before the prints could even be processed, Zhao confessed. He had fallen deep into gambling debt, tens of thousands lost to loan sharks. Even his car had been pawned. He knew the D family well. He also knew they had money. On the morning of October 23rd, Zhao visited under the pretense of playing chess. Only Di Jingshen was home. While the elder man was preparing tea, Zhao wrapped an electric cord around his neck. He strangled him on the spot. Then he waited. When Di Chao and Li Juanzu returned, Zhao was already hiding, knife in hand. He killed them both in quick succession. But his story didn't end there. Zhao admitted to returning to the scene multiple times. Each time he ran out of gambling money. He used a key taken from Li Juanzu's body to re-enter the apartment. searching for valuables to sell. That was the source of the mysterious lights. Each flicker, each glow in the night. Was Zhao returning to scavenge the dead? But one night, something changed. A boy, nicknamed Xiaolong, had been playing nearby. He started flipping the circuit breaker for fun, causing the apartment lights to strobe on and off. Zhao, standing alone in the apartment, surrounded by the decomposing bodies of the people he had murdered, saw the lights flash. He panicked. He believed the dead had returned, that their spirits were watching. He never went back. And that's where the trail ended. After 8 months of shadows, silence, and suspicion, the truth finally came to light. A family lost. A killer undone by fear. And a case that nearly slipped away forever.
Thank you for listening to Major Case, True Crime Investigations. If you found this episode compelling, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will explore another intriguing case.